Listen, I'm not scared of these guys. These guys think they intimidate me, and they think that I think that they're scared. Oh well.
From Evander Holyfield, whose constant headbutts sparked the most infamous bite in boxing history, to Lennox Lewis, who ended up in a wild press conference brawl with Tyson long before they even touched gloves.
Lennox Lewis!
In this video, we're breaking down the boxers Mike Tyson has openly admitted he hated the most. Let's jump in. Evander Holyfield. The hatred between Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield exploded into boxing's most notorious scandal when Tyson bit off a chunk of Holyfield's ear on June 28, 1997, forever branding it the bite fight. This wasn't just rivalry, it was personal warfare that cost Tyson $3 million, his license, and his reputation. What began as a delayed heavyweight clash, rooted in amateur encounters and postponed by Tyson's incarceration, morphed into vendetta, marked by accusations and fury that would define both men's legacies in ways neither could have imagined.
Mike was headbutting me, but he never said that. He was blocking his head.
Tyson's animosity was visceral and unfiltered, rooted in what he perceived as systematic disrespect masked by Holyfield's born-again Christian persona. After Holyfield's controversial headbutts opened cuts above Tyson's eye, Iron Mike erupted. "He's a motherfing dirty fighter. He butted me. Look at me. My eye is swelling up." The rage was primal, born from frustration that this shorter opponent, 6'2" versus Tyson's 5'10", exposed his vulnerabilities through relentless pressure and tactical headbutts that Tyson believed were premeditated weapons designed to neutralize his peekaboo aggression. Tyson later admitted in his 2013 memoir that the hatred stemmed from being outclassed and humiliated, calling it a demonic moment where he wanted to inflict so much pain because Holyfield was such a great fighter who made him feel inadequate in ways no other opponent had managed to accomplish. Their rivalry peaked in two brutal fights, generating over 3.59 million combined PPV buys and establishing a template for heavyweight drama that would influence boxing promotion for decades. The first bout on November 9, 1996, saw Holyfield, a 15-2 underdog, dismantle Tyson's aura with tactical brilliance and an 11th round stoppage that left the boxing world stunned and questioning whether the Tyson mystique had been permanently shattered by 3 years in prison. The rematch 7 months later descended into chaos when Tyson, frustrated by repeated headbutts that referee Mills Lane seemed unwilling to penalize, Holyfield's right ear in round 3, tearing off a 1-inch chunk of cartilage before incredibly biting the left ear seconds later in an unprecedented display of ring fury that transcended sport and entered the realm of pure primal violence. After his November 2024 loss to Jake Paul, Holyfield called for a trilogy citing unfinished business. Tyson gently declined. "I love you, brother, but the trilogy is our friendship." On Hotboxing in 2025, he reflected with genuine warmth. But if Holyfield pushed Tyson to his psychological limits and exposed his emotional fragility, another opponent stood as the technical mountain Iron Mike couldn't climb, a calculating British giant who systematically dismantled the myth. Lennox Lewis.
Lennox Lewis cements his legacy as one of the best heavyweight champions of this era.
The decade-long saga between Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis represented explosive aggression colliding against calculated precision in a battle that generated $106.9 million in PPV revenue and captured the imagination of boxing fans worldwide. Both warriors shared early roots under Cus D'Amato, where Lewis, an Olympic gold medalist, reportedly bested teenage Tyson in sparring, planting seeds of resentment that would grow into a poisonous tree of animosity over the following decades. The feud simmered through the 90s as Lewis pursued mandatory challenges, only to be stonewalled by Don King's promotional maneuvering that protected Tyson from facing the one man who possessed both the physical tools and mental fortitude to expose his vulnerabilities completely. Tyson's hatred brewed from a toxic cocktail of jealousy, perceived avoidance, and stylistic disdain for everything the British champion represented in boxing's hierarchy. Lewis Lewis embodied the establishment heavyweight, tall at 6'5", technical, undefeated in his prime, contrasting sharply with Tyson's street-bred ferocity that relied on intimidation and overwhelming early aggression. Iron Mike viewed Lewis as a fugazi fake champion who ducked real threats and benefited from organizational politics rather than earning respect through warrior spirit. In a 2002 pre-fight rant that became legendary, Tyson unleashed his fury in rambling Shakespearean fashion. "Lennox is a conqueror? No, he's no Alexander. I'm Alexander. I'm the best ever. My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want his heart. I want to eat his children." This infamous declaration revealed both Tyson's unraveling psyche and his desperate need to convince he could overcome the stylistic nightmare that Lewis presented with his educated jab and superior ring generalship. The rivalry peaked explosively on January 20, 2002, at a New York press conference that descended into absolute bedlam when Tyson charged across the stage, sucker-punching a bodyguard and lunging at Lewis in a scene that shocked even hardened boxing observers. Chaos erupted as entourages clashed, and Tyson bit Lewis's thigh, drawing blood in a preview of the savagery to come, while WBC President Jose Sulaiman was knocked unconscious amid the melee. Nevada Athletic Commission revoked Tyson's license and levied a massive fine, forcing the mega fight to Memphis, where local officials proved more willing to sanction what many viewed as a dangerous mismatch, given Tyson's obvious deterioration.
Right hand from Lewis, and Tyson goes down for the third time in his career. 6, 7, 8.
The June 8, 2002 showdown at Memphis's Pyramid Arena was systematic destruction masquerading as competitive sport, a clinical dismantling that left no doubt about which fighter had been truly elite. Round 8 saw Lewis drop Tyson twice with textbook right hands that highlighted the massive skill gap. The final roundhouse, right at 225, left him counted out in humiliating fashion as he fumbled for his mouthguard. CompuBox statistics revealed the one-sided nature of the beating. Lewis landed 193 of 541 punches at 36%, while Tyson connected on just 53 of 206 at 26%, numbers that told the story of a fighter whose physical tools had been eroded by time, prison, and lifestyle choices, catching up to legendary talent. At 59, Tyson reflects with genuine reverence and mature acceptance of Lewis's superiority. In September 2025, he stated with characteristic honesty, "Lennox was the best of our era. That fight, it broke me, but taught humility." While Lewis represented technical superiority that Tyson could never overcome despite all his natural gifts, another opponent symbolized pure street hatred that exploded beyond the ring into midnight chaos. Mitch "Blood" Green.
Green breathing through his mouth.
The rivalry between Mike Tyson and Mitch "Blood" Green blended in-ring competition with unsanctioned Harlem violence that became boxing folklore and nearly destroyed Tyson's career before it reached its peak. Their 1986 professional bout was Tyson's first decision win, ending his 19-fight knockout streak and exposing frustrations with opponents who refused to engage in the type of warfare that favored his explosive style. But the true infamy came 2 years later, in a 4 a.m. street brawl outside Dapper Dan's boutique, where Green, claiming unpaid purses from promoter Don King, confronted the undisputed champion in an encounter that transcended boxing rivalry and entered the realm of street justice and territorial disputes. This rematch left Green battered with a broken nose and orbital bone, while Tyson suffered a broken hand that threatened upcoming defenses and demonstrated the dangers of allowing professional animosity to spill into real-world confrontations. Tyson's hatred was deeply personal, rooted in Green's relentless trash talk, perceived thievery attempts, and embodiment of the fake tough guys from Tyson's Brownsville youth who talked tough but lacked genuine warrior spirit. Green, a 6'5" former New York Golden Gloves champion who won the prestigious title 4 times and possessed legitimate heavyweight credentials, mocked Tyson's power outside the ring with a dismissive attitude that infuriated the young champion, calling him a punk who needed gloves and referees to win fights. Their 1986 fight frustrated Tyson with Green's clinching tactics and minimal offensive output. But the real venom boiled over in 1988 when Green allegedly reached for Tyson's pockets during the Harlem confrontation, crossing a line that transformed professional rivalry into something far more dangerous and personal. In his 2013 memoir Undisputed Truth and on his Hotboxing podcast, Tyson recounted with vivid detail. He started talking and saying, "What the fuck you doing in my hood?" Then it was on. I really thought he was grabbing for my pockets. He described Green's resilience as eerie and unnatural, claiming he was high on PCP or angel dust. I dropped him a couple of times, but he kept getting back up, just like Friday the 13th Michael Myers. The rivalry peaked on August 23, 1988 at 4:30 a.m. outside Dapper Dan's legendary Harlem Boutique in an encounter that became part of boxing's oral history. Tyson, the undisputed champion, was picking up a custom jacket when Green ambushed him, claiming King owed him $25 million in unpaid earnings and attempting to collect street justice. Green swung wildly. Tyson countered with precision, breaking Green's nose, requiring 5 stitches, and his orbital bone in a display of raw power that left witnesses stunned. The aftermath saw Green sue for $25 million and receive an award of just $45,000 in a verdict that reflected the court's dim view of his street confrontation tactics, though the incident followed Tyson throughout his career as an example of the chaos surrounding his life outside the ring. In January 2025, he stated with a chuckle, "Mitch was the first guy who made me hate the game, pure street hate." The feud has become a cautionary tale about allowing professional disputes to escalate into personal violence, though it remains one of boxing's most entertaining sidebar stories that illuminates Tyson's complicated relationship with fame, power, and the streets that shaped him into both a champion and a walking controversy. Yet while Green embodied street chaos and territorial disputes, another fighter represented the one man Tyson truly admitted hating with pure, unfiltered venom born from Olympic humiliation: Tyrell Biggs. The rivalry between Mike Tyson and Tyrell Biggs stands as the most venomous in Tyson's career, rooted in amateur-era slights that festered for 3 years and transformed into genuine hatred that went beyond normal competitive animosity. On October 16, 1987, at just 21 years old, Tyson was the undisputed champion, holding all 3 major belts and facing Biggs, a 1984 Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist with a perfect 15-0 professional record who represented everything Tyson had been denied in his quest for Olympic glory. This was Tyson's rare admission of genuine hatred rather than manufactured pre-fight hype, a deeply personal vendetta that he pursued with systematic brutality designed to inflict maximum punishment rather than seeking an efficient knockout. Tyson's disdain stemmed from a perceived public humiliation during the 1984 Olympic trials buildup that cut to the core of his insecurities about not being good enough. Tyson, shut out after losing twice controversially to Henry Tillman in the heavyweight division, traveled to Los Angeles to support the U.S. Olympic team despite his crushing disappointment. When a fan approached the group wishing the boxers luck on their upcoming journey, Biggs, basking in his super heavyweight glory, quipped with casual cruelty, "I don't know about him, but he certainly ain't getting on that plane," mocking Tyson's Olympic exclusion in front of teammates and strangers alike. In pre-fight interviews that became legendary, Tyson stated with chilling honesty, "I never really hated anybody. I think I hate Tyrell Biggs. I want to hurt him real bad." Post-fight, Tyson's rage remained raw and unrepentant. "I could have knocked him out in the 3rd round. I wanted to do it slowly. I wanted him to remember this for a long time." The October 16, 1987 fight at Trump Plaza's Convention Hall showcased calculated brutality and systematic destruction rather than explosive knockout artistry. Biggs started strong in round 1, using his 9-inch reach advantage effectively to land jabs and establish distance that threatened to frustrate Tyson's aggressive style. By round 3, Tyson trapped him on the ropes with savage body hooks that targeted the ribs and liver with precision designed to break Biggs's will. Blood poured from Biggs's right eye as his orbital bone cracked under the relentless assault, visible damage that should have prompted a merciful stoppage. Tyson dominated the middle rounds, landing over 200 punches while Biggs could only clinch and survive, his Olympic pedigree proving worthless against Tyson's murderous intent. In round 7, a picture-perfect left hook dropped Biggs. Tyson swarmed and finished it at 2:59 with the referee mercifully intervening to save Biggs from further punishment that Tyson seemed eager to continue inflicting. In interviews, Tyson maintained his stance with unflinching honesty, calling it the purest hate I ever felt, jealousy over that gold medal. If Biggs represented pure hatred born from Olympic humiliation and perceived disrespect, another rivalry exposed Tyson's vulnerability against an opponent who simply refused to crumble under pressure: Donovan Ruddock. The rivalry between Mike Tyson and Donovan Ruddock was Tyson's post-Douglas redemption arc, colliding with Ruddock's emergence as a legitimate power-punching contender who possessed the tools to exploit Tyson's vulnerabilities. The 2 fights, March 18th and June 28, 1991, at the Mirage in Las Vegas, pitted Tyson's iconic peekaboo style against Ruddock's devastating smash, a hybrid hook-uppercut that could end fights with one clean connection. What began as a scheduled 1989 title defense, canceled due to Tyson's rib rib injury evolved into personal grudge, amplified by Don King's promotional genius in a controversial first fight stoppage that nearly incited a riot as fans and Ruddock's team believed referee Richard Steele had prematurely saved Tyson from potential defeat. Tyson's animosity stemmed primarily from professional frustration rather than personal dislike. Ruddock's refusal to crumble under Tyson's bombs challenged his carefully reconstructed invincibility myth after the devastating Douglas upset that exposed him as mortal. Promoted by King as Tyson's executioner, who would finish what Douglas started, Ruddock's resilience, yawning mockingly during stare-downs and absorbing Tyson's best shots, made Tyson feel exposed as someone who could be pushed to the limit by determined opposition. Tyson called Ruddock soft and undeserving in pre-fight interviews, but admitted his defiance grated. "I hated how he wouldn't quit. Made me look weak." At a heated press conference that descended into near chaos, he snarled with menacing intensity, "Razor Ruddock dies. If he doesn't die, it doesn't count." This chilling declaration revealed Tyson's desperation to reclaim his aura through savage violence rather than technical mastery. The first brutal fight on March 18, 1991, featured competitive early rounds that surprised observers expecting a quick Tyson knockout given Ruddock's perceived defensive limitations. Round 2 saw a controversial knockdown when Tyson's left hook appeared to trip Ruddock over Tyson's strategically placed foot, drawing immediate protests from Ruddock's corner about the legitimacy of the knockdown. Round 7's premature stoppage at 2:02 sparked a violent brawl as Ruddock's brother and team attacked Tyson's corner in genuine fury over what they viewed as blatant favoritism. The June 28th rematch with Mills Lane, as referee to ensure fairness, produced 12 grueling rounds of warfare. Tyson broke Ruddock's jaw in round 2 with a devastating hook, yet Ruddock fought on with incredible courage, winning unanimous decision scores of 113-109, 114-108, and 114-108 that reflected Tyson's dominance, but also Ruddock's warrior spirit in refusing to surrender despite a broken jaw. While Ruddock tested Tyson's resilience and exposed his declining stamina, another opponent delivered the most shocking upset in boxing history that shattered the invincibility myth forever: Buster Douglas. The rivalry between Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas was remarkably one-sided in terms of actual confrontation, but monumental in its impact on boxing history and Tyson's psychological makeup. On February 11, 1990, at Tokyo Dome, Tyson, the 23-year-old undisputed champion with an intimidating 37-0 record, entered as a godlike figure whom many believed was approaching the threshold of heavyweight immortality. Douglas, a 29-year-old journeyman with a 29-4-1 record, was dismissed as a 42-1 underdog with oddsmakers, treating the fight as little more than a lucrative exhibition. What began as a perceived mismatch ended in Douglas's stunning 10th-round knockout, shattering Tyson's invincibility and fundamentally altering the heavyweight landscape in ways that reverberated through boxing for decades. Tyson's hatred for Douglas was more existential dread and wounded pride than personal vendetta, manifesting as bitter resentment toward the man who exposed his mortality. Pre-fight, Tyson dismissed Douglas as a tomato can, unworthy of serious preparation, refusing to scout him properly and partying recklessly in Tokyo with geishas and cocaine instead of maintaining his training regimen. The catastrophic loss triggered paranoia and desperate conspiracy theories about long counts and mob fixes. In a 2023 Joe Budden podcast appearance, Tyson admitted with remarkable candor, "I was invincible until I wasn't. That loss to Buster Douglas, it changed everything. He made me human." Post-fight, Tyson's rage boiled over as he fumbled desperately for his mouthpiece on the canvas in a pathetic scene that contrasted sharply with his previous aura of invincibility, later ranting about fixing the result despite clear evidence of legitimate defeat. In his 2013 memoir Undisputed Truth, he confessed with philosophical resignation, "Buster destroyed the man who destroyed me." The defining moment arrived in round 10 at 122 when the impossible became reality. Douglas's perfectly timed uppercut staggered the champion, followed by a crushing left hook and sustained flurry that dropped Tyson for the first time in his professional career. Tyson rose awkwardly at the count of 14, but referee Octavio Marin waved it off as Tyson desperately searched for his mouthpiece in a futile attempt to continue. Controversy erupted over an 8th-round long count when Douglas was knocked down, with some claiming Douglas received 13 to 14 seconds to recover, though subsequent analysis proved the count was legitimate within normal timekeeper variance. The fight showcased Douglas's masterful jab control versus Tyson's rare visible gassing and frustration as the bout extended into later rounds where Tyson's conditioning deficiencies became apparent. Douglas landed an impressive 274 of 500 punches at 55%, completely dominating the punch statistics, while Tyson connected on 176 of 350 at 50, but with significantly less impact due to Douglas's effective defensive movement and superior conditioning. At 59, in February 2025 Hot Boxing episode, Tyson reflected with surprising gratitude. "Buster, he freed me. That knockout, relief, made me human, better fighter." While Douglas shattered the invincibility myth through determination and perfect execution, another opponent faced Tyson's shortest and most lucrative destruction in heavyweight history: Michael Spinks. The rivalry between Mike Tyson and Michael Spinks culminated in one of the shortest and most financially lucrative title fights in boxing history, a collision that defined an era. On June 27, 1988, at Atlantic City's prestigious convention hall, Tyson, the 21-year-old undisputed champion boasting an intimidating 34-0 record with 30 knockouts, faced Spinks, the 31-year-old undefeated lineal champion with a perfect 31-0 record that included victories over Larry Holmes. Billed dramatically as Once and For All, the fight aimed to unify the fragmented heavyweight division and resolve bitter debates over legitimate championship lineage. The fight grossed an astronomical $70 million, $22 million for Tyson and $13.8 million for Spinks, making it the richest bout ever at the time. Tyson won by devastating first-round knockout in just 91 seconds, cementing his status as the most feared heavyweight since Sonny Liston. Tyson's disdain for Spinks was rooted in professional obstruction and perceived cowardice in avoiding legitimate challengers. Spinks, a former light heavyweight great who had dominated that division with technical brilliance, vacated the IBF heavyweight belt in 1987 to fight Jerry Cooney for $4 million, deliberately dodging mandatory challenger Tony Tucker in what Tyson viewed as blatant cherry-picking. Tyson, obsessed with cementing his legacy and surpassing Alley and Holmes, saw this as cowardice that undermined boxing's integrity. In the dressing room, as manager Butch Lewis employed psychological warfare by stalling the fight and accusing Tyson's team of loading gloves, Tyson punched a hole through the cinder block wall, snarling with barely contained fury. "You know, I'm gonna hurt this guy." Post-fight, he called the destruction revenge, whispering vicious taunts over Spinks's crumpled body on the canvas about making him pay for avoiding legitimate competition. The rivalry peaked in the defining pre-fight dressing room psychological warfare that set the tone for Spinks's complete mental collapse. Lewis burst into Tyson's dressing room with cornermen, theatrically accusing Tyson's gloves of being illegally loaded with extra padding, attempting to rattle the young champion through baseless accusations. Tyson, already in a state of controlled rage over his crumbling marriage to Robin Givens, punched the concrete wall with such force it left an indentation. "Get the fuck out! I'm gonna kill him!" This display of unhinged fury accomplished the opposite of Lewis's intention, psychologically destroying Spinks before the opening bell even rang. The June 27, 1988 fight saw Tyson explode forward in his signature peekaboo stance with murderous intent, overwhelming Spinks immediately. At 0:47, Tyson's vicious right hook to the body buckled Spinks's knees, forcing the first knockdown. At 1:31, a final devastating right uppercut right hook combination sent Spinks crashing unconscious. Official knockout time of 1:51 ended the shortest heavyweight title fight in modern history. Tyson landed an efficient 9 of 14 punches at 64%, while Spinks connected on just 2 of 8 at 25%, never landing a single meaningful blow that troubled Tyson. While Spinks fell in seconds to Tyson's explosive power, another British challenger tested Tyson's dominance twice across 7 years in fights that mixed national pride with personal animosity: Frank Bruno. The rivalry between Mike Tyson and Frank Bruno spanned 2 fights across 7 years, blending intense national pride with raw heavyweight power in battles that captivated audiences on both sides of the Atlantic. Tyson, the Brooklyn phenom, represented untamed American dominance and street-forged aggression. Bruno, the affable Londoner with his trademark gap-toothed smile, embodied British resilience and working-class determination. Their first clash in 1989 came during Tyson's tumultuous title defense period, amid highly publicized marital strife with Robin Givens that threatened to derail his career. The 1996 rematch pitted a post-prison Tyson seeking redemption against Bruno's hard-won WBC reign that represented the culmination of the British fighter's long journey to championship glory. Grossing $40 million combined with massive UK television audiences, both explosive encounters ended in TKO losses for Bruno that left questions about what might have been if he had possessed killer instinct to match his physical tools. Tyson's animosity stemmed from jealousy over Bruno's lovable underdog image and media darling status that earned him affection Tyson could never command despite superior talent. Bruno's charming personality, self-deprecating humor, and gentleman demeanor outside the ring contrasted sharply with Tyson's thuggish image and legal troubles. Bruno's media darling status particularly irritated Tyson, who viewed it as fake nice guy, posturing masking a fundamental lack of killer instinct necessary for heavyweight greatness. Pre-1989 fight, Bruno's camp hyped his devastating right-hand power as the weapon that would finally stop Tyson's reign of terror, genuinely irking the young champion. In heated pre-fight interviews, Tyson fumed with contempt. He didn't have no respect as a professional fighter should have, no class whatsoever. Post-1989 TKO, he elaborated with chilling honesty. I was going to make him pay with his health for everything he said and did. The February 25, 1989 fight at Las Vegas Hilton saw Tyson enter at 218 pounds versus Bruno's heavier 298-pound frame that suggested power, but also potential conditioning issues. Round 1 featured frenzied center ring exchanges that electrified the crowd. Tyson's signature right hook suddenly floored Bruno, who rose gamely at the count of 2, showing championship heart. Shockingly, Bruno then staggered Tyson badly with a perfectly timed left hook-right cross combination, marking Tyson's first career wobble that exposed his vulnerability to patient counterpunchers. By round 5, Tyson methodically trapped Bruno on the ropes, unleashing systematic body shots and head combinations until merciful TKO at 126 saved Bruno from further unnecessary punishment. The March 16, 1996 rematch at MGM Grand featured a noticeably heavier Tyson at 220 pounds versus Bruno's career-high 247 pounds that raised questions about both fighters' conditioning. Round 2 saw Tyson floor Bruno twice with devastating right hooks that exposed Bruno's predictable defensive patterns, the second knockdown leaving him badly hurt and disoriented. Round 3 ended abruptly with TKO at just 0:45 as referee Mills Lane stopped the one-sided beating that left Bruno's championship dream shattered. While Bruno tested Tyson physically with dangerous power that nearly changed history, the final fighter on this list represented a rivalry that never materialized in the ring but burned intensely in Tyson's tortured psyche: Muhammad Ali. The rivalry between Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali was never traditional in any conventional boxing. Since their careers didn't overlap temporally, with Ali retiring in 1981 and Tyson debuting professionally in 1985. Instead, it represented profound emotional dynamics rooted in Tyson's intense childhood idolization, transforming into complex admiration, mixed with painful envy and debilitating self-loathing that haunted him throughout his career. Ali, the cultural icon and three-time heavyweight champion who transcended sport, represented the kind of universal love and mainstream acceptance that Tyson desperately craved but felt perpetually denied due to his Brooklyn street scars, criminal record, and inability to articulate himself with Ali's poetic eloquence. This internal conflict peaked repeatedly in Tyson's public admissions of hating Ali, not for any personal slight, but for embodying an unattainable ideal of heavyweight greatness that combined athletic brilliance with social consciousness and universal beloved status that Tyson could never achieve despite superior knockout power. Tyson's hatred wasn't rooted in personal animosity or competitive jealousy, but represented painful envy of Ali's effortless charisma and worldwide adoration. As a bullied, lisping kid in Brownsville's notorious projects, Tyson obsessively devoured Ali tapes and documentaries, mimicking his shuffle and studying his rope-a-dope tactics, but simultaneously internalized a bitter resentment. Why did Ali receive universal love and admiration while Tyson inspired only fear and grudging respect despite possessing arguably greater pure punching power? In a revealing 2019 Rappaport podcast where Tyson broke down crying on camera, he stated with raw emotional honesty. In his brutally honest 2013 memoir Undisputed Truth, Tyson confessed with painful self-awareness, "I hated Ali because I desperately wanted to be him. People didn't love me like they loved Ali. I was always the bad guy, the thug, the villain. Tyson's psychological rivalry with Ali manifested through introspective comparison throughout his career. At 14 years old, while incarcerated in juvenile detention, Tyson watched Ali's devastating 1980 loss to Larry Holmes and vowed revenge on his idol's behalf, a promise he fulfilled spectacularly at age 21 in 1988 with a savage fourth-round knockout of Holmes that he dedicated to Ali's honor. On the legendary 1989 Arsenio Hall show appearance, when the host provocatively asked about a hypothetical prime versus prime matchup, Ali joked with his trademark charm, "If he catches me, I'm in trouble," while Tyson deferred with genuine reverence unusual for his persona. Every head must bow, every tongue must confess, this is the greatest fighter who ever lived. This touching moment of humility from normally arrogant Tyson revealed the depth of his conflicted feelings. The emotional peak of their relationship came on June 3, 2016, at Ali's funeral in Louisville, where boxing royalty gathered to pay final respects. Tyson served as pallbearer, openly weeping while carrying the casket in a display of raw emotion that shocked observers accustomed to his tough guy persona, later stating through tears, "I hated living in his shadow my entire career, but he was my North Star, my guiding light even when I resented him." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this clip and would love more of such content, be sure to click on the card showing on the screen.